All right, let me paint a picture for you. You're a photographer and you own 47 hard drives like this. You use Adobe Lightroom Classic and you're tired of filling up hard drives constantly because you shoot a lot of photos every year. In this video, we're gonna look at how to use Adobe Lightroom Classic with a NAS, a network attached storage device, something like this UGREEN DXP 4800 Plus. Let's dive in. So I do want to get out of the way that this video was sponsored by UGREEN. They reached out and asked if I wanted to make a NAS related video, and this was one I've had on the list for a while because a lot of you have requested, hey, I use Lightroom Classic, how do I use it with a NAS in the most efficient way? So I reached out to UGREEN, they said, sounds good, and we made this happen. Future video editor Forrest here, and I just want to make one quick note that there are links to all of the UGREEN NASs discussed in this video down in the description. They are up to 15% off for the holidays until December 22nd. So check those out if you want to. So you might be saying, Forrest, why make a video on this? Why is this a requested topic? And the answer is that there's a limitation placed on Lightroom Classic catalogs that prevents them from being operated or running or opened from a NAS. So as a quick example, I have my main photo drive here. I've used it for years. I have all my pictures on here in my Lightroom Classic catalog. If I just move all of this stuff onto the NAS, great. But as soon as I go to open my Lightroom Classic catalog that now lives on the NAS, I'm gonna get a little message that says it's unable to do that. And that's good. Adobe has put in safeguards to prevent you from operating a catalog off a NAS because you think about it, NASs are usually accessed by more than one person. And if you have more than one person editing a Lightroom catalog at the same time, you're gonna run into a lot of problems. So that brings up the need for this video. What do we do if we can't run our NAS with the catalog on it? What happens? So the first thing that we need to identify is where our catalog actually lives, where it resides. And you might say, well, Forrest, I just opened Lightroom and started using it and my catalog was wherever it put it. Great, that's awesome. No harm, no foul. We just need to know where that thing is. So here's what I recommend you do. And this is like this first step of this whole process. You're gonna wanna go into Lightroom Classic and you're gonna want to, Mac folks go up to Lightroom Classic in the upper left, PC folks go to Edit and go to Catalog Settings. And if you go Lightroom Classic Catalog Settings or Edit Catalog Settings, it's gonna pop up this little Catalog Settings dialog box. And if we go to the General tab, the very top line item is the location of the catalog that we are in right now, the one that we're using. And hopefully you see all your pictures and this is your main catalog. But moreover, there's a little show button. We can show our catalog to us. And I can see right here, here's my catalog. It's on my main photo drive and it's a folder called Forrest's Main Lightroom Catalog. So I wanna make something very clear. Remember this location. This is where your catalog lives. So when we talk later in the video about moving your catalog, this is what I'm talking about. And I want to make something super clear. I'm not talking about any specific item inside of that catalog folder. I'm talking about the entire catalog folder. So that your catalog is everything inside of that folder. So when we go to move a catalog, you want to move the entire folder, not just some piece of it. Okay, now that we have a little bit of background information, let's make one big decision. We need to decide where we want our catalog to live. And this gets into a little bit about what you want to think about maybe purchasing to make this whole move happen, all of that kind of stuff. So the where question is very simple. The best place to store your catalog, assuming that you're gonna put your pictures on the NAS, is on your internal hard drive. That's my sincerest, most top level recommendation, is on your internal hard drive. It could be on your desktop. I probably wouldn't recommend that though. I'd make a nice folder maybe in your documents or your pictures or somewhere like that. We can store our Lightroom catalog. Now there's a couple disadvantages to this. Number one is if you use multiple computers, you're probably not gonna wanna store your catalog on your internal. If you use multiple computers, I would recommend getting a fast external hard drive and storing the catalog on the external. And then you can plug the hard drive into either machine or all three machines and you can open Lightroom where you left off on the previous one. One advantage of a networked drive is that it can be accessed by any computer on your network. So as long as the catalog is on a drive you can plug into any machine, and the NAS is part of that network, you can move between machines seamlessly. Now, the other kind of gotcha to storing things on your internal hard drive is storage space. Catalogs take up some space, and if you bought the, like kind of lower end machine that has very little internal hard drive space, and you got a lot of files on your computer, you might just be space limited out of storing your catalog there. So you need to make a decision of where your catalog is going to live. It can't live on the NAS. Top tier would be internal hard drive, second tier would be external SSD, third tier would be external spinning hard drive, but really Lightroom will really slow down if it's on a spinning hard drive, your catalog, so I wouldn't recommend that. So now that we know the background information, let's actually get into how we do this. And again, like I said earlier, this is an advanced technique. So if you want help with this, let me know. I'm here to help when I can. But I want to just preface this by maybe watch through this whole video and see, do I think this is above my head? And if it is, maybe don't take this project on alone. You have been warned, all right? That's all I'm going to say. Step one is to do a little bit of preparation inside of Lightroom Classic. So let's not do any moving, any copying first, okay? We're just opening Lightroom Classic like normal, and we are getting everything ready. The thing that we want to get ready is we want to look at the folders panel over here on the left. And in the folders panel, I want to make sure that underneath the entry for where your photos live, this could be the main photo drive, it could be Macintosh HD, it could be the C drive, it doesn't matter. I don't care where your images live, they can live wherever they want. But in each image storage location, I want there to be some parent folders. So right here we can see I have a parent folder called Photos Go Here. And if I close that, there's one folder that I can click on underneath the entry for main photo drive. That's what we want. We want there to be parent folders. What some of you might have is something like this instead. Here we can see I only have 2022, 2023, and 2024. And there's no way to collapse anything outside of just collapsing the entire drive. And this isn't what we want. We want to have a collapsible parent folder at the top level. Now, you can get away with it like this, but just to make things easier, we kind of want something to collapse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on 2022 or the top level that I can see, and I'm going to go to show parent folder. The parent folder is there, it's just not collapsible. It's not showing it to us. So let me go to show parent folder, and now I see Photos Go Here up there at the top. So the point is we want a collapsible folder at the top level of all of our subfolders in the folders panel. And we want to do that for every entry that you have. So if you have 5 external hard drives listed over here in the folders, you're going to want a parent folder for all 5. Additionally, you probably want to clean up any messes you have in the folders panel, any missing images, anything that's not located, anything that's got question marks, all that stuff. You kind of want your folders panel to look pretty nice because we're going to be moving it to a new location. When we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and quit Lightroom Classic. Don't just close it, but fully quit the program and get out of it completely. The next step is to copy our Lightroom catalog from wherever it lives right now to wherever you want it to live in the future. Now, I say the word copy here very importantly because we don't want to move it. The whole goal of this entire workflow is that it's non-destructive. We want to be able to undo what we've done in this video if something goes wrong and a mess gets made. So I recommend copying your catalog from wherever it lives to the new location. For those of you who already have your catalog on your internal hard drive and you want to store it, keep storing it on your internal hard drive, I would still copy it to a different place on your internal hard drive. We really want to make a copy so that if we have to go back, we can kind of have that original version before we started messing with it and transferring things to the NAS and getting all this stuff configured. So wherever your catalog lives right now, copy it to a new location where you want it to live for the long term. For me, that means I'm going to be copying it from my main photo drive, here's that folder right now, to the pictures folder on my internal hard drive. If yours is already in your pictures folder on your internal hard drive, maybe copy it to your documents and start using it from the documents or something like that. We just want to make a copy so that we're non-destructively affecting all of this stuff. The next thing that we need to do is set up a folder to store our image files on the NAS. Now you may have already done this. If you walked through one of my setup guides on these NASs, you would already have built a shared folder as part of that setup. But if you haven't, it's super simple. I'm gonna demo the process here in UGREEN OS or UGOS. What I'm gonna do is go to the IP address of the NAS on my network. This is something that you would configure when you were setting it up. I'm gonna go ahead and sign in to my NAS. Inside of UGOS, I'm gonna go ahead and go to File Manager. I'm gonna go over to Shared Folder, and we're gonna go ahead and create a new shared folder. I can do that right here because I don't have one already, but if I did have one already, I'd go right here and go to Create a New Shared Folder. Now think of a shared folder like a little hard drive on your NAS that we can use to store files, photos, things like that. So I'm gonna be pretty specific with this one. I'm gonna call this shared folder Lightroom Images or Lightroom Photos or Lightroom Media. Give it a name that makes some sense to you and what this is going to be used for. Again, a full link to my setup guide on these UGREEN NASs is down in the description. Next, it's going to ask me where I want to put this shared folder. I'm just going to say volume 1. I'm not going to apply any sort of usage limit. This would limit the amount of storage space that this shared folder could take up. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to hide it, and I am going to enable the recycle bin. That just means that if I throw something away off of the NAS, I didn't mean to, I have a way of getting it back. I'm gonna go ahead and click create. That's going to think for a second. It's then gonna ask which device or which user account I wanna give access to it. I'm just gonna ensure that my administrator account has read-write permissions and click OK. Now what this just did was it gave us a folder that we can use to put stuff on. So I'm actually gonna minimize out of UGOS and I'm gonna connect to the NAS using my Finder or my Windows Explorer. So that was our next step, get a shared folder or a place to put stuff on the NAS that we are migrating from whatever drives we were using before. All right, the next step is to start copying our photos from wherever they live right now onto this shared folder on the NAS. Now there's a couple ways we could do this. We could copy everything at once, but I like to do it piecemeal, little bit at a time, just to prove to myself that this process is working, and then we rinse and repeat as time goes on. So let me give you guys a quick example. I'm gonna go into, on my main photo drive, I know all of my pictures live inside of this Photos Go Here folder, okay? And I know that inside of Photos Go Here, I have 2022, 2023, and 2024. And those are an exact match to what I see in the folders panel in Lightroom, okay? If yours aren't an exact match, go back to start, go around, figure out why, right? That means there's some sort of misalignment there. Maybe there's missing images, stuff that's not updated in the folders panel. But in general, your image folder, wherever you store your Lightroom pictures, should be a pretty close match, if not an exact match, to what you see in the folders panel in Lightroom. Now, my goal is to copy all this stuff over to the new location. And I could just take the whole Photos Go Here folder and plunk it over here inside of Lightroom Images, but I wanna just make sure things are working. So I'm only gonna take part of it. I wanna keep a lot of the structure the same. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over to this Lightroom Images piece of the NAS. I'm gonna make a new folder and I'm gonna call it the same thing, Photos Go Here. And then I'm gonna open it up and I'm just gonna start with 2022. So I'm gonna take my 2022 folder from the current location that it lives and I'm gonna copy it over to the Photos Go Here folder on the NAS. Again, we're not moving, we're copying. We don't wanna cause any damage in any negative way. All right, so like I said, this video is sponsored by UGREEN. Special thanks to them for doing this. I've had this one, the 6800 Pro, in use for the past 6 months. It's where all of Sarah and I's personal files are. It's been great. The 4800 Plus right here, the DXP 4800 Plus, there's a link to it in the description. It's on sale for the next few days. So definitely check that out if you want to. Either way, they make all kinds of different sizes. They do a great job. And like I said, I've had good luck with them for the past 6 months. This guy's been running 24/7 since then. Just to highlight a couple features of the 4800 Plus, it does have built-in 10 gigabit networking, which for those of you who are gonna transfer large volumes of photo or video, that's really nice. I've made a full setup guide, actually 2 of them on these NASs. I'll leave links down in the description. So if you want to know how to set that up, how to make that happen, if networking is not your thing, I got you, right? I'm here, I can help you out. The 4 bays in this can also have over 100 terabytes of storage with the size that hard drives have gotten, which is kind of amazing as far as the storage potential of even a 4-bay NAS. Additionally, it has a 12th gen Intel processor inside, so it's got enough speed to keep up with whatever we need. All right, so my copy of the data just completed, and now it's time to go into Lightroom and update the location of this folder. Now again, I want to reiterate something. Our goal here is that everything we're doing is non-destructive. If anything crashes and burns in this process, we haven't changed any of our original way that we use Lightroom. So don't worry, if things go bad, just go back to your original catalog, living where it originally lived, and you should be totally fine. There won't be any bad things along the way. I'm gonna go ahead now and open Lightroom, and I'm gonna open the catalog that lives in the new location, the copied catalog, the one that I wanna keep for the long haul, the one that lives on my internal hard drive or SSD, whatever you wanna call it. For me, that lives in my pictures folder. Here's Forest Main Lightroom catalog, and then I'm gonna double click the Lightroom catalog file itself. So here we are, nothing's changed. In fact, you can see that the images, the pictures, are still being referenced on the main photo drive. So everything's the same. It's just that we're operating a catalog that lives on our internal instead of a catalog that lives on our external, or a copy of our catalog. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to tell Lightroom that this 2022 folder now lives on the NAS instead of on my main photo drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on 2022. I'm going to come down to Update Folder Location, and it's going to say, hey, where does that folder live now? And I know that it lives on my NAS. So I'm going to go here to the IP address. I'm going to go to Lightroom Images. Photos go here, and 2022. And you want to be very particular here that the folder that I right clicked on, which was the 2022 folder, is the folder that we are selected on when we click the choose button or the OK button. I'm going to go ahead and do that and watch what happens. So now all of a sudden over here on the left, we have a new entry for Lightroom Images, and this is the NAS. And if I expand it out, you can see there's 2022 right there, and there are all of my folders. So I now have one entry for the NAS, Lightroom Images, and one entry for the main photo drive. And that's why I said this can be a slow process where we rinse and repeat, right? We go in and now we do the 2023 folder. We copy it over, we open Lightroom, we update the location. We do 2024, copy it over, update the location. The reason we did that initial parent folder, remember how I really wanted us to see the photos go here folder, is because some of you may want to do the whole photos go here at a time, and you would just copy the whole thing over, and instead of right clicking on 2023 and updating the folder location, you would just right click on photos go here and update the folder location. So you don't have to do it one folder at a time, but I find that brings me a little bit more, I don't know, appreciation of the process and knowing that I'm not bringing a bunch of like disorganized stuff into my new organization system. So the whole goal here is that when we're done, we have one catalog living either on our internal or on a fast external SSD, and we have one set of images living on the NAS. And the catalog is referencing the photos on the NAS, and everything is smooth and easy. Moreover, the goal is that we didn't touch any of our original organization structure, any of our original stuff, meaning I could still go to my main photo drive, open the catalog that lives on that main photo drive, and all of the photos are still referenced on the main photo drive. It's all still good. I didn't hurt any of the old organization. But that does bring up an important point. When we get to this point, it's very important to stop using your main photo drive, or else you're gonna have multiple different sets of catalogs with multiple different sets of images. This is a migration of data. The goal is not to use both now. The goal is to switch over to using the NAS as your primary image storage location. With that said, what I recommend you do with your main photo drive is put a sticky note on it that says, images through December of 2024, and put this on a shelf somewhere with, hopefully it had backups with its backups, and you're good. You know you have that to fall back on if you need it, but you have your NAS and your other catalog living wherever you put it, moving into the future. All right, so here we are, it's the next day. I finished copying over all of my different folders and updating the folder location to the NAS. So inside of Lightroom now, this is my new catalog. We can see here that I have one entry over here in the folders panel for my Lightroom images. Again, that's the name of the shared folder that I created on the NAS. And we can see 2022, 2023, and 2024. Now, this is potentially a very long process. Again, it took me a couple hours because I just pared down to some of my photos. I didn't try to do everything, but do leave, if you have years and years and years of images, this might take a couple weeks to get this done with copying and updating and all of that stuff. All right, everybody, and that sums it up. So if you guys like this video, definitely drop a like down below, hit subscribe to stay up to date with future videos, and let me know down in the comments what you thought about this video. I like creating NAS-related content. I know some of you, it's not your cup of tea, so let me know your thoughts down below, or if you have any questions. Thanks, everybody, and I'll catch you in the next one.